Take that, ruffian!
Ever wanted to know what it's like to drive a tank and maybe take on other players in PvP battles? Well, now's your chance because World War II's Tank Arena VR is here. So go ahead and hit those like and subscribe buttons and all that lot, and let's get on with it, shall we? Firstly, if you're coming to here for a deep story, then you're probably not coming to the right place. But these sort of games aren't really here to engage you deeply in a story. I mean, after all, there is a single player campaign, but this is probably more for the PvP people out there. Although I would say that it does have a pretty cool menu system, and the whole sort of like hub there is, well, let me show you.
So I've had a little go, and basically I just want to show off the menu first, which is quite impressive. I mean, look, oh hello. I mean, look, so all your tanks get stored in here when you finally get more and more of them. Your main tank that you're using is there. Quite impressive. You got all your friends there, but I don't think any of my friends own it, so there you go. You got your menu system, which tells you different things, volume and all that lot. Then you've got things like Tank Garage. When you've played the game for a little bit, you start unlocking tanks, such as these. And then you get to unlock like skins, hatches, barrels and decals, which is pretty cool because then you can have like different things on your tank. And as you can see, these are all done by levels. And then you got your profile, just a bit of information, how well you're doing, what level you are and all, rankings. And as you can see, PvP or just, I think, normal trophy type things, and the leaderboard that you'll probably never see me on. What else do we have? Well, we have this play button, play part. And basically the modes are VS AI, as in one player, single player, or multiplayer. I'm going to try single player for this game. As you can see, you can then pick your tank, whichever one you want. It gives you information about the tank that you want. Apply that, wait for it, and then you get maps, different maps. Now I've done that one. Let's give this a go. I will try and show off them as well. In the game we go.
Thank you, me, for that insight. But a cool menu isn't exactly everything to a game, is it? I mean, it looks pretty and everything, but if the controls aren't there, then the game's not really going to do very well, is it? And trust me, for a tank simulator, it really does have to be pretty decent. Otherwise, you're just not going to get that feeling. Although you are playing it in VR, so there is the extra bit there. Back over to me.
Okay, so gameplay is basically, you got sort of like strafe, forward, backwards, and then you got your tank gun that you move, or your turret. If you want to load something, you'll have to manually load them. There are different weapons on different tanks. Oh dear. And basically moving is quite intuitive. It does what you think it will do. You can down and up the turret like that. And then to fire, obviously you can see the gun. You just fire. Oh, wow. So basically after doing so much damage, I think it's so much damage anyway, you get access to this, and this does a special if you can actually find someone to shoot or do something with within the time. I believe that you get that. You also get things like this. You can pull out fires, so fire extinguisher, and also a hammer that you can fix things with. Oh crap, you sneaky little bugger.
Again, me. Thank you for the insights on the controls. But is the game any good to play? Well, yes. The one mode is single player, and I would say maybe go into this just to practice, because I can't see why anyone with an internet connection would want to stay in that mode. And then you got the multiplayer mode.
Oh, I should have... Oh, no!
And as you would probably guess, this mode is where, well, basically the meat and bones of the game is. This is where you should be spending most of your time. And therefore, does it have a good community? As in, is there enough people to play? Well, I will say that although sometimes it takes longer than other times, I have never found it hard to find a game with other players. So this side of the game seems to be working quite well. There seems to be a good amount of a community so far. I will say that no one really communicates. I didn't really have any conversation, didn't really have anyone. In fact, I can't even remember actually speaking to anyone or hearing anyone. But that doesn't really matter because I was having fun playing the game. Which brings me on to my next point. The game plays quite well. I've had no real big issues. It doesn't crash, doesn't do anything like that. Or at least with my time playing through the game, it never crashed. Never really had any problems. The only problems I did have is more kind of like it's a bit slow at times because it's tanks. Sometimes it's a bit awkward to turn because you're not used to turning and then turning. You know, the tank has two parts. You're controlling the bottom bit to move around and then you're controlling the top bit to turn and shoot. And this sometimes in the heat of battle can get a bit frustrating, one might say. But I suppose it's part of it. And the addition to like the health bits that you can like go over, and also the little, well, I say little, big bomb things that go around that you can set on others, felt like a pretty cool addition. Although I would have liked a bit more. I don't know what, but just a bit more, I guess. And at this time, I would like to ask you good people to like and subscribe to the channel, because it would be a nice thing to do. So what's it like graphically, I hear you all crying? Well, it's very cartoony, as you can plainly see. It kind of like reminded me of those older games on older, you know, PCs and game consoles that looked cartoony because they had no choice. But it does look pretty good with it. And the game's out for the MetaQuest 2 and 3, and the 3 gets a upgrade in graphics, which is also pretty cool. I do like the fact that you can change your tank, i.e. the decals and all that lot, and make them look slightly different. I do also like that there's different types of tanks and they all look different. And that kind of neatly brings me around to the audio. The music was okay, and I did turn it down, mainly for recording purposes, but I think I probably would have dropped it down quite significantly anyway. But I will say that being inside one of those cabs was noisy, which is pretty right, I would have thought. And also, you know, shooting and putting things out and hitting things with your hammer, I still don't understand that one. But yeah, it all sort of had a bit of weight to it. And I'm not quite sure whether that's because it was right literally above my ears, or whether it was because obviously you're inside a tank and everything's confined. But I feel it enhanced the gameplay rather than hindered it, so I suppose that's good. On to the exercise rating. So basically I sat down. Why wouldn't you? I mean, I don't want to stand up playing a tank game. I want to sit down on a swivel chair, which is what I sat on, and basically play a tank game sat down, because that's, to my mind, how you would be in the actual tank. And yeah, it just wasn't really that much of an exercise. I moved my hands, but even then I was, for the video, kind of exaggerating because I wanted to show movement and everything. So it's probably going to be getting a 2 out of 10 rating for the exercise. Whether that's a good or bad thing is subjective to you. And now on to the actual score for the game. I did enjoy myself here. I did have a bit of a blast. As I said, I didn't find it difficult getting a game. The controls did feel a little bit fiddly at times, but I suppose I did get used to it. And the higher and higher tanks you get, the quicker they all are and things like that. And I suppose the different tanks offer different things: heavy hitters, light hitters, and speed and slower. The single player mode, I can't really recommend this game for single player. It just, I don't know, it just wasn't hitting the right chords with me. It was a bit there. But it's a PvP tank game, and why wouldn't you play it in multiplayer? I felt that the single player was purely to get your practice in, and that's it, and that's what I used it for. And so I'm going to give World War Toons Tank Arena VR a pretty respectable 6 out of 10. Just above average. It is an enjoyable game. I would recommend it for people, but purely for PvP. I wouldn't bother getting it just for single player, which is a shame that they didn't add a bit more into that, but it is what it is. And I believe this is purely a PvP tank arena battler, so there you go. So go ahead and leave a comment down below. Let me know what you think about this video. Let me know what you think about the game. If you made it this far, please do like the video. It really does help the algorithm quite a bit. And well, if you're not subscribed, go ahead and subscribe. Thank you for joining me. Take care wherever you are, because life is better when we game together.